The Colorado Avalanche are the best in the West. Welcome to From Center Ice. My name is Courtney, and the third round of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs has been completed. We now know the two teams that are going to play for the Stanley Cup in the final. In the West, we have the Colorado Avalanche, and in the East, we have the Tampa Bay Lightning for the third straight year. As we get set and ready for the Stanley Cup final to begin on Wednesday, let's take a look back at the journey to the top of the Western Conference. When the 2021-22 season started, there were 16 teams in the West, all trying to see if they could grab their spot in the playoffs. Only 8 teams can make it, so that means that 8 teams missed out. And those teams that we haven't seen in a while because they missed the playoffs are as follows. And we will start in the Pacific Division. First up is the Vegas Golden Knights. They finished 4th in the Pacific. Then there are the Vancouver Canucks. They finished 5th in the Pacific. After them were the San Jose Sharks finishing 6th in their division. Then you have the Anaheim Ducks finishing 7th. And last but not least, rounding out the Pacific Division for the teams that did not make the playoffs this season were the Seattle Kraken, the brand new team in the NHL. Moving over to the Central Division, there were only 3 teams that did not qualify for the 2022 Stanley Cup playoffs. That is because 5 did not qualify in the Pacific, and due to wild card slots and all of that, there can be an uneven amount between the two divisions. So first up are the Winnipeg Jets. They finished 6th in the Central Division. Behind them, you have my Chicago Blackhawks coming in 7th in the Central. And rounding out the Central Division, brand new to the division this year, you have the Arizona Coyotes finishing 8th. Now let's take a more recent look back at the 8 teams from the Western Conference that did make the postseason. And we'll start back in the Pacific Division. First up, winning the Pacific Division were the Calgary Flames. Coming in 2nd were the Edmonton Oilers. And last but not least, the final team to qualify for the 2022 postseason from the Pacific Division were the Los Angeles Kings. Which of course brings us to the Central Division where 5 teams qualified. Up first, winning the Central Division regular season title, the Colorado Avalanche. Of course, they would also go on to be the best in the Central in the postseason, but we will get there. Next up, you have the Minnesota Wild finishing 2nd. In 3rd in the Central Division, you have the St. Louis Blues. And then the 2 wild card spots also came from the Central Division. Finishing 4th, you have the Dallas Stars. And last but not least, 5th in the Central Division were the Nashville Predators. So we have the teams that made the playoffs. Let's jump into the first round matchups. Up first, we have the Colorado Avalanche taking on the Nashville Predators. Colorado swept that series, beating Nashville in 4. That final game, Game 4, being a 5-3 defeat. And of course, Nashville was without their starting goaltender for the entirety of those 4 games. UC Saros was out with injury. David Riddick, their backup, started Game 1. It went very poorly, so they relied on their 3rd string goaltender in Connor Ingram. He played very well for the Predators and did just about all you could ask of your 3rd string goaltender up against the high-flying Colorado Avalanche. Unfortunately for the Preds, it was not enough to win a game. The Avalanche were just too strong, and they took down the Predators in 4 games. Next up, you had the Minnesota Wild taking on the St. Louis Blues. This was the only other series out west that did not require 7 games, but it did require 6. St. Louis won that series 4-2, rounding it out with a 5-1 victory in Game 6. Next up, you had the Calgary Flames taking on Jake Ottinger. The Calgary Flames taking on the Dallas Stars. That series required 7 games, and not only 7 games, but that Game 7 was a 3-2 victory in overtime for the Calgary Flames. Jake Ottinger did all he could do as a young goaltender for that Dallas Stars team. It just was not enough to steal the series from the first place in the Pacific Calgary Flames. Last but not least, in the Western Conference, we had the Edmonton Oilers taking on the LA Kings. This series also took 7 games, but Edmonton defeated LA in Game 7 by a score of 2-0. The Kings came in and did a lot better than I think anybody expected them to, seeing as most people still see them in the middle of a rebuild. But they clawed their way into a playoff spot and they did not go down without a fight. That brings us to the second round, 4 teams remaining. First up to decide the postseason champion of the Central Division, we had the Colorado Avalanche taking on the St. Louis Blues. The Colorado Avalanche won that series 4-2. They rounded it out with a 3-2 Game 6 victory. Of course, Darren Helm's series-winning goal coming with only seconds left in regulation in Game 6. To determine the postseason champion of the Pacific Division, we had the Calgary Flames taking on the Edmonton Oilers. The Battle of Alberta. It was billed as a series that was going to be great, back and forth action, super exciting, and after a Game 1 that saw 15 combined goals scored, it kinda just fell off, and the Edmonton Oilers beat the Calgary Flames in 5 games. They finished them off with a 5-4 overtime victory in Game 5 after a very controversial goal was disallowed for Calgary for being a kicked-in goal, apparently. I still don't agree, but we can't change it now. The Edmonton Oilers won, and that brought us to the Western Conference Final between the Colorado Avalanche and the Edmonton Oilers. Colorado, who had swept the first round, but then met a bit of a challenge there with St. Louis in the second round. And the Edmonton Oilers, who had been pushed to 7 there in round 1 by the Kings, but beat Calgary pretty handedly in the second round in only 5 games. In the end, the Colorado Avalanche defeated the Edmonton Oilers in the Western Conference Final in 4 games. But maybe as the tale of the West versus the East in this year's postseason, this may have been the most chaotic Western Conference Final, and it was just very fitting, and game number 4 was a good summary of that chaos, if you will. Game number 1 of the series, Colorado won 8-6. There was not much defense in that game. The goaltenders were not relied on to do a single thing because they weren't stopping pucks. Darcy Kemper went down with an injury about halfway through. Mike Smith was pulled, so both backup goaltenders came in. Chaos. Game number 2, Darcy Kemper was still out with an injury. He did not see game action for the rest of the series, but Mike Smith was back in net for Edmonton. But Pavel Francouz pitched a shutout and the Colorado Avalanche won Game 2 4-0. In game number 3, Colorado also scored 4 goals, but Edmonton had a bit more of a push there and scored 2 of their own. Of course, it wasn't enough, so the Avalanche took the 4-2 victory in the first game in Edmonton and took the 3-0 series lead with a chance to close it out in Game 4 with Evander Kane suspended for the Oilers for injuring Nazem Kadri. So enter Game 4. We all had to come into this one expecting a really good game. You have the Edmonton Oilers fighting for their playoff lives, and then you have the Colorado Avalanche, who got a sweep in round 1, looking to close this series out so they can get some rest and heal up some bodies before the Stanley Cup final. And what we were given in this game was pure chaos. So let's relive it, shall we? 3 minutes and 46 seconds into the first period, the Colorado Avalanche are on the power play, the chance to get on the board first, really set the tone for the game. Cale Makar, quartering that power play from the point, as he so often does, sent the puck over to Nathan MacKinnon in the left circle, who ripped a one-timer toward Mike Smith. But Mike Smith made the save. Even though he saved it, he didn't cover it up, but Zach Hyman of the Oilers was able to grab the loose puck. Unfortunately for the Oilers, before Zach Hyman could clear it, he lost the puck to Gabriel Landeskog and Artturi Lehkonen, fighting for it, trying to keep it in the offensive zone, trying to get another chance there on the power play. And they succeeded, and Lehkonen got the puck back to Cale Makar at the point. He held on to it for just a second, saw all the traffic in front of the net, took a wrist shot, got that puck toward the net, and in. The Colorado Avalanche were on the board first. It was 1-0. And that was the only goal of the first period. On to the second period. 7 minutes and 39 seconds into the second period, Connor McDavid, with the puck on his stick, broke into the offensive zone down the left wing. Bowen Byram was defending him. Connor McDavid said, "Not today, young kid." He spun right around him, losing Byram, cut to the center of the ice, sent a backhanded pass over to Zach Hyman, who was just hanging out on the right side of the net. As Zach Hyman tried to wrap that puck past Pavel Francouz into the net, it was knocked away. That puck did not go in. It may have been one of the prettier goals coming off of that great setup from McDavid, but it didn't go in. The Avs are able to clear the puck, but Darnell Nurse picks up the loose puck and sends the breakout pass back toward their offensive zone to Leon Draisaitl. This time he enters the zone down the left wing, and McDavid is cutting more up the center. But remembering what happened just a few seconds ago, you have Bowen Byram covering McDavid, and you have Gabriel Landeskog also covering McDavid. And even though he is the best hockey player in the world, having two of your guys covering him left Zach Hyman all alone on the other side of the ice, breaking down the right wing. Leon Draisaitl got the puck over to him. He's got the puck on his forehand in that right circle, but he decides to cut to the net, gets it to his backhand, and just flips it past Francouz's glove. Tie game, 1-1. And then near the end of the second period, 16 minutes and 57 seconds into the second period, from his own end, Devon Toews sends the puck out to the neutral zone to Logan O'Connor. Perfectly good. Logan O'Connor, not seeing an entry into the offensive zone himself, sends the puck back to Devon Toews. And this is where it goes wrong. Because Toews cannot grab the puck, that leads to it bouncing out to the middle of the ice, where Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is able to pick it up and cut in all alone on Pavel Francouz. And with the backhanded shot, he makes it 2-1 Edmonton. And then to make matters worse for the Colorado Avalanche here, with time winding down even more in the second period, the Edmonton Oilers get a power play. And 18 minutes and 54 seconds into the second period, on said power play, Connor McDavid has the puck on his stick in the right circle, and he decides, I'm going to shoot the puck. What is Connor McDavid good at doing? I mean, hockey, but also scoring goals, and that he does on the power play, making it 3-1 in favor of the Edmonton Oilers. And Edmonton took that 3-1 lead into the second intermission. On to the third period. And at this point, the Avs did not look like they wanted to win this game. They did not look good at all. The top guys were invisible. I didn't know they were even playing. And then they must have woken up during that second intermission. Because if you thought the rest of this series was chaos, if you thought the first two periods of this game were chaos, the third period of Game 4 in the Western Conference Final in 2022 was pure chaos. And 31 seconds into the third period, Valeri Nichushkin takes a shot on Mike Smith from the left circle. That shot is stopped. Cale Makar is able to keep the puck in the offensive zone after battling with two Edmonton skaters there at the right point. He sends it down the right wall to Gabriel Landeskog, who then, from the top of the right circle, sends the puck over to the left point to Devon Toews as he is entering the offensive zone. And as he is doing so, he just skates right into that shot, gets the puck toward the net, and it goes off of Cody Ceci in front of Mike Smith, past him into the net. The Avalanche get one back, and it is 3-2 in favor of the Edmonton Oilers. And he didn't register an official assist on this goal, but Nathan MacKinnon battling with Cody Ceci in front of the net is what led to this puck hitting Ceci and going past Mike Smith. So maybe the biggest assist of all goes to him, even though you won't see it on the score sheet. But 3 minutes and 55 seconds into the third period, Nathan MacKinnon breaks into the offensive zone down the left wing, but he does not shoot the puck. Instead, he pulls up at the half wall and tries to force a pass to Valeri Nichushkin. The pass does not work. Connor McDavid picks it off, heads toward the Edmonton offensive zone, and as he enters the zone down the right wing, he drops the puck to Leon Draisaitl. And suddenly Edmonton has a 4-on-2 rush? Well, that just did not work out for the Avs, because once Leon Draisaitl got to the top of the right circle, he sent that puck over to the left circle where Zach Hyman was ready for it. He took that one-time shot and it went past Pavel Francouz. And even if that puck was fluttering, it still went in, and that made the game 4-2 in favor of Edmonton. But 8 minutes and 58 seconds into the third period, Mike Smith tries to clear the puck up the right wall, but it hits the official. That causes the puck to slow down and not exit the zone. Instead, it bounces off of the wall toward the center of the ice, where Nathan MacKinnon is able to grab it as he is entering the offensive zone. MacKinnon pushes the puck down to Gabriel Landeskog on the right wall, and Landeskog then passes it back to the point to Bowen Byram as he is entering the offensive zone. He is able to corral it, get the puck into shooting position, and get it toward the net, but it doesn't go in. Instead, it hits Nichushkin's skate. Nathan MacKinnon, who is down by the net, is able to grab the loose puck, get it onto Mike Smith, who makes that initial stop, but the puck is loose. Gabriel Landeskog goes in for the battle himself. He gets a stick on that puck, causing it to pop up in the air and behind Mike Smith. Absolute chaos, but now it is 4-3 in favor of Edmonton. And oh, Mike Smith was not happy, but that's the chance you take when you play the puck. It's only illegal if it goes directly off of the official and into the net. That one counts. And then 13 minutes and 30 seconds into the third period, Arturi Lehkonen gets a nice little breakout pass to Nathan MacKinnon, who is flying down the center of the ice. He kicks it from his skate to his stick, breaks down the right wing, just skating around Cody Ceci, trying to defend him. And once MacKinnon gets to the bottom of that right circle, he raises his hands to the ceiling with the wrist shot and absolutely roofs that puck on Mike Smith. Tie game. 4-4. What a beautiful goal from MacKinnon. Oh my goodness. And then 14 minutes and 47 seconds into the third, the Avs are on the power play once again. They only had 2 power plays in this game, but they made them count. Cale Makar had the puck at the left point in the offensive zone. He sent it down to the right circle where Mikko Rantanen was standing, and all in one motion, Mikko picks up that puck and just wrists it toward Mike Smith and in. 5-4 Avalanche, and now they have the lead. But there was still way too much time left in this game. 16 minutes and 36 seconds into that third period, JT Compher dished the puck over to Mikko Rantanen at the right point as they were entering the offensive zone. Mikko got absolutely obliterated by Darnell Nurse with a hit. That forced the turnover, and the Edmonton Oilers were able to grab the puck. And not just any Edmonton Oiler, but Leon Draisaitl was able to grab the puck, and once he did that, he dished it over to Connor McDavid. McDavid broke into the offensive zone down the left wing, sent the puck back over to Leon Draisaitl in the right circle. Draisaitl hits that puck with the one-timer, but Francouz makes the stop. But it just squeaks through his arm or some hole so awkwardly, lays behind him in the crease, and Zach Kassian is able to poke in the loose puck. Tie game. 5-5. And if you are keeping track at home, that was 6 goals in the third period. But these two teams ended regulation tied at 5. Off to overtime. Because of course, this chaotic series, this chaotic game had to require overtime. But the Colorado Avalanche must have just been sick of the Edmonton Oilers and wanted to get this thing over with. Because 1 minute and 19 seconds into overtime, Darren Helm won the face-off at the right circle in the offensive zone, won it back to Cale Makar. Makar takes a nice shot from that right point, and Artturi Lehkonen, cutting to the net, reaches out his stick. He knocks it out of midair. Mike Smith makes that stop, but Lehkonen sticks with the puck and he grabs the loose puck and just wraps it around Mike Smith, the winner in overtime. Artturi Lehkonen, for the second year in a row, sends his team to the Stanley Cup final. Last season with the Montreal Canadiens, this year with the Colorado Avalanche, on a crazy goal that they had to look at to see if it was a high stick, if it even should have been allowed, but it was, and the Colorado Avalanche knocked off the Edmonton Oilers in 4 games to get back to the Stanley Cup final for the first time in over 20 years. What a game! What a series, what a first 3 rounds for the Avalanche. Sweeping round 1 and round 3, only losing 2 games. What a journey it has been. And now this high-flying team who have come out scoring goals left and right, but not letting themselves get too frustrated when things don't go their way, they meet up with the 2-time reigning Stanley Cup champions, the Tampa Bay Lightning, in the Stanley Cup final. It has been one heck of a run, but it is not anywhere close to being over yet. So that was our journey through the Western Conference. That was the journey to how the Colorado Avalanche closed out that final series to make it to the Cup final. Are you a Colorado Avalanche fan? How are you feeling? Let me know down in the comments. Are you a fan of another Western Conference team? How are you feeling as well? Let me know down in the comments. Who are you rooting for in the final this year? I think my answer is probably pretty obvious, but I want to know your answer as well. But that's going to be all from me in this video. If you want to hear more from me or from Center Ice, you can head on over to FromCenterIce.com. There's links to all the places you can find us over there. And if you're not subscribed to this channel yet, go ahead and do that. Give this video a like. Or if you'd like to follow along on social media, all of the links to those platforms are also down in the description for you. All of that being said, thank you all so very much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for following along on this crazy ride through the playoffs this year, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye guys.